Welcome back to Rich Words Music then, where today's special guest is a presenter. You'll know him from the Thomann TV music channel. He's a YouTuber on his own, very successful channel. He's a very experienced and respected guitar technician, and he's also himself an interviewer to some of the stars. It's Mr. Kris Barocsi. Did I say that right?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yay.
Hi, hey everyone. Thanks for having me, Rich.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the channel. It's great to have you on. And actually it's interesting because I recently did an interview with Andy Ferris, who recently got a... Yeah, Andy had a Harley Benton almost signature guitar in Ferris Blue, and that was the first interview I'd done on here. I then went on and asked people, who should I talk to next? Because I know a lot of you guys who are on YouTube, I know a lot of people in the industry, and the number one name on the list by quite some distance was Kris Barocsi.
Ah, come on. Really?
No, yeah, I mean, I have a small channel, so it wasn't the biggest list in the world.
Okay.
But your name beat everybody else. Yeah.
That makes sense, yeah, okay. But I mean, wow, I'm touched. I'm humbled.
Humbled.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So I guess everyone wants to know about you, the man behind the Thomann channel, the man behind the Kris channel, which in its own right is very successful now with over 20,000 subs. So let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to the beginning of your career. Tell me a little bit about how you got started with guitar and music.
Music started earlier than guitar. I cannot even remember. It was singing first or... no, that's actually not true. I'm lying already. Check this out. This was funny. My first musical experience was my dad's old guitar. He had in his closet, and he didn't really play it at that time. And I was like 2.5 years old.
Okay.
And there's this cassette I've heard a couple of years later where I'm playing the guitar, obviously not on a very high level, at the age of 2.5, and sort of sang something on top, like la 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 la, and then I stopped singing and just keep on playing the guitar. And my dad, I've heard my dad's voice on the recording. He was like, "Come on, sing some more. It's so pretty and so cool." And it's like, nah, I just want to play the guitar. And it's like, what? This is exactly how I feel ever since. Now that I'm actually, a guitar player, and I sing, sort of, and I get some compliments every now and then, but I am absolutely not happy with my voice, and I don't feel comfortable singing. So it's the same thing. It just stayed as it was right at the beginning. But like the first proper musical experience was, I guess, singing. Sort of kindergarten and first years of school, that kind of period. And then they decided to put me in an elementary school with some sort of a specialty for music, with a choir and stuff and everything. And so that started it all. Then I, of course, started playing piano, which is an obvious choice for a kid. Mm-hmm. It was obviously not my choice. But I didn't love it, but I loved playing music. And I did okay and played for 5 or 6 years. And then guitar came in and it made boom. And nothing else was interesting anymore.
What was it about the guitar that really made it more interesting than singing, than piano, than everything else?
Well, I started to listen to guitar or guitar-related music before I started playing guitar. So my first huge hero was Michael Jackson, and I loved like Black or White and all those rock songs like Dirty Diana and all these songs which were, Slash and that kind of rock playing, or Eddie Van Halen's playing. And, those songs made me absolutely super hyped about music and the sound of electric guitar. And then later on I went, I don't know, I think I was 14, and I started in gymnasium, which is like a European way of calling high school. And there was a kid with his acoustic guitar, like a nylon string guitar, and I learned a couple of chords within 4 days. This was a summer camp, and then after those 4 days of summer camp, and on the last evening, I sort of played the backing for our goodbye song, like 4 chords, with bloody fingers, and all the hurt and all the pain, and that was it. From then on, I grabbed my dad's guitar again. This was at the age of 14, and put new strings on it, figured out how to tune a guitar even, and started to learn stuff by hearing, by listening to stuff. Because I had no teacher at that point, nothing.
Yeah. And so straight away, I guess, the art of performance in front of other people, that was an important thing for you? A big rush, maybe?
Yeah, it was too early, if I'm honest. But yeah, it was an obvious thing to do. Because my best friend at that time, he had a very good voice, has still, and he's a singer ever since. And we sort of paired pretty fast, like cupped immediately, like, okay, well, let's do something cool. And then he had this song suggestion, and I was like, okay, I have no idea how to play it. So let's figure out, if anyone knows the chords. And then I figured out, E minor, G major, those basic chords. And I practiced, instead of sleeping, that I have it, everything done and right within 4 days. And then this was the first experience. So it started early on. And it was such an obvious thing to do. And it felt cool from the first day on, so I was infected immediately.
Yeah. What was the first guitar that you had for yourself?
For myself, it was an acoustic guitar I got from my parents. An acoustic Ibanez steel string. It was a PF 5, 10, 15, one of the affordable ones. And it was a struggle to play. I had no idea how to set up a guitar, and didn't even know that someone could set it up for me. It had a string height of like 1 kilometer. And I didn't really progress that fast on that guitar. But the old sort of Eastern European electric guitar from my dad from the 60s, that was the guitar that made a lot of sense to me. And that had a really nice action, actually. So I played that guitar way more. And then my dad built me an old radio, soldered a jack on it, and made somehow it possible that I can plug in the electric guitar to have some sort of a noise, and coming out of it. And yeah, so that was my favorite guitar at first, but my first 2 guitars were actually acoustic guitars.
I'm starting to see a little bit of a picture here of how you might have got into becoming like a guitar technician and someone who likes to build his own stuff. It came from your dad, right? It's in the genes.
Oh, he's the kind of person who tries to figure out something to make cool himself before he even asks like professionals how to do it. And he's an engineer and someone who's really straightforward thinking and pays attention to details a lot. So usually what he does is pretty cool. Sometimes very DIY, but it always works. And sometimes it's even super awesome. So yeah, that's probably something that I soak in. I got from him, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so tell me about your first electric guitar then, because you're probably more known as an electric player.
Oh yeah.
When did you move across from acoustic to real electrics, real rock and roll?
I was a huge Ibanez fan. Huge. I mean, if it was allowed to have a tattoo at the age of 14, I'd have Ibanez, all over my body. I was a huge fan.
I guess you're lucky it wasn't allowed at 14.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little silly to do it, and but it was just my brand, and I loved everything about it. All the artists playing Ibanez and everything. So it was an obvious choice. It was an RG 370DX, 270DX, not sure about the first digit, but it was the black one, obviously, with non-double locking trem, but sort of like a Floyd look-alike, but the cheapest version, and like an HSH configuration with the 2-saw or shark tooth inlays.
Yeah, okay.
It was a really cool-looking guitar, and it was a nice guitar, but it was not the best in terms of keeping the tuning, obviously. Yeah. So, but I loved it. Oh my God, for years. Yeah.
And I guess heavy rock and metal was what you were playing at that point.
Yeah, I cannot even recall what I was listening to at that time. I think it was already Dream Theater and stuff like that. Yeah. Like Metallica for sure, and definitely some grunge as well as some punk rock, Pearl Jam, Nirvana for sure. Those kind of stuff as well, and also the real heavy stuff came in real fast. Like Pantera was like the first band was like, oh hello, and then all the like proper death, melodic death, black, like progressive dark stuff like Opeth and all that kind of stuff came along real fast, and I was in that world for quite a few years, and oh my god, it was so inspiring.
Yeah, and you played in quite a few bands, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
and quite a few.
And if I've got this correctly, you studied music as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So was there a conscious decision by you at some point where you realized, okay, I'd like to do music and guitar as a career and make my living from it?
Well, it was not that conscious in terms of actually earning money with it. But yeah, I was dreaming of that situation happening. But mainly it was not a question for me that this is the only thing that I care about in life. Well, except for family and friends, of course.
Yeah.
So this was my only inspiration, the only thing I took enough seriously. Like, I was not very good at school. I did a few things all right, and some were pretty good, but the majority was like proper suffering because I was not paying attention. I didn't care a lot. So I made myself some stressful years, but I have my degree, I have all the stuff you need from school. But it was definitely clear that I will want to study music at the end. So I was focusing on that a lot. Took lessons, of course, some music theory as well to have the chance to even get in a college, music college and everything. So that was a pretty clear decision. Basically, from like always, I didn't know if like before I started playing the guitar that I'm gonna be a guitar player. But music was so much in the focus for me from the beginning. It was a no-brainer. Yeah.
Yeah. How important would you say that the theory side is? Just to go off on the sidetrack for a minute.
Wow, that's not an easy question. It depends. It depends on the person and the musical style the person is interested, and the goals this person has. Like, if you just want to have fun, you want to become a really cool player of one style or one or two styles, like you're into rock and blues. Theory will help you, but it's really not necessary to become an even better player because of the vocabulary of these styles. You can, I mean, take a look at B.B. King and all the huge blues players. They didn't worry too much about modal scales. They didn't think too much about, modulations in stuff and playing different scales over different harmonies. It's like they played what they heard is awesome, and that mostly relates to the blues scale, major scale, minor scale, or the simple pentatonic. And you can be a very, very good guitar player without having any idea of what you're playing. Of course, if you want to be a versatile guitar player, you want to understand stuff. If you're that kind of person who uses his brain all the time and wants to figure out stuff and sort of put everything in context and everything, then you most probably would benefit from some music theory. And if, of course, if you want to be a composer or you want to write really interesting music, like in terms of harmony, which chord will you put under this melody line? Those things are so much easier if you know what you're doing, because there are so many options and most of them are wrong. And some of them will sound good and some are the best options. And to find those few usable options, that's so much easier if you know, like, you can sort out all the crap already and you have the good ones here because you know it, that might work. And then you use your ear to choose the best harmony or best, melody line or improvisation scale or whatever. So it all depends on the person.
Sure. Now, I like that answer a lot. It's very kind of open. It's not a black and white thing, because from what I understand from you, theory can make it easier to make decisions. If you're improvising or if you're songwriting, for example, it can make the process faster. And I know that there are some people out there who absolutely must have theory, and there are some people out there who say, no, I don't want theory because that will put me in a box and it will stop my creative process because I will just use the rules and not do anything creative outside of them. But the way you sort of approach it, it's just like almost a way to break those rules.
Of course.
You know the rules and then you break them and then you use them to your advantage.
Of course. That's here's an example. I think this will make sense. Bear with me. I hope it does. Your English level of knowledge and mine. You are native. You speak English as good as one can speak the language. I'm not native. I've learned it early enough, but I make so many mistakes. I struggle with vocabulary. It feels very natural to speak, but I realize, oh my God, you know, what kind of weird stuff I'm saying all the time. Still, I managed to let you know what I mean. I hope you will understand, and I hope everyone will understand as well. My vocabulary is this much. Your vocabulary as a native is, you know, way bigger. You are the one, if you translate this to music theory, you're the one who knows pretty much everything about music theory, and I'm the one with my English vocabulary of this, who has barely any imagination of what's happening. I have to fight way more to write a letter to someone in proper English, and you can even think about all the words and the you know, which of these words which are very similar is the best in that sentence, and it already comes naturally. Are you more limited than me? Nah. It's the opposite. You are free because you have all the options, you know which are good, and you will use the best word. I will use the best word of all the words I know, and that's a huge limitation. So that's exactly how I feel about music theory. I manage. I'm cool. You know, I make a living with all what I'm doing, and I'm using English on a daily basis. And I hope my vocabulary will get better every day. But I feel my limitations. Still, I would swap with you, Mr. Music Theory, in terms of English.
Yeah, well, I would swap with you in terms of music theory because I know no theory. So there we go.
So that's how I see it, yeah.
Yeah, but in terms of the language thing, that makes sense because I guess with you, you know, your English is very good. It's not quite perfect, but it's very, very good. And you don't think as you speak it. You're able to speak it without stopping to imagine what word it is.
Yeah,
and that, in a way, is similar to learning a certain amount of theory. You know, you might be... You know, you go to a blues club and you get up and you want to jam a little bit and you hear the chord progression that you're using and you automatically know, okay, I'm not the best solo player in the world, but I know that we're going to be playing this in the G major scale, so I know roughly where I have to put my fingers. Exactly. That kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. And the second reason why it's not going to limit you if you know some music theory, or even more than just some. And that's because a person who's limited without knowing music theory will stay limited in terms of creativity, even if he learns everything about music theory. The person who's creative without knowing what he's doing, because he hears stuff, he has a melody in his head and tries to put it on the fretboard, will benefit from learning some theory because he will know where to search. He will make less mistakes and he will not be more limited. You don't lose your talent in terms of musicality. You just have some sort of a security around and some help to as you told, to find the right scale or the right options. If someone says, "All right, blues in B, go," it's like, cool, sure, yeah. And you know what's up. You start maybe with a few trained licks, some basic licks, because music theory helped you, and from that point on, you have your creativity kicking in. And then you take off and you make your improvisation as good as you can make it. So it's there's no limitation coming from music theory. It's not necessary though. So that's why I say it really depends on the person.
Yeah, exactly. Alrighty then, let's move off the theory sidetrack and go back to Kris, the person. So the last we heard, you'd studied, you knew you were loving music and stuff like that, and you'd like to do something with it. And then there's a gap in the story because the next I know about you, you're Kris from Thomann. You're doing videos on their channel showing off the guitars and guitar related stuff, and you're also working in the guitar department in the shop itself.
Yeah, well, it's a lot to explain. How much time you have? I try to make it as short as possible. So I studied in Budapest, where I'm from, and I had this offer from this metal band. A couple of friends were doing this band, and they sort of grew and had some options and maybe even a label and everything, and they had some issues with the guitar players and everything, and they asked my best buddy guitar player and me if we want to be the guitar players in the band, and if we would want to write an album and record it, because there might be a label and everything. So we of course said yes, and started recording everything, and then we actually brought the album out with Metal Hammer, who also has a label in Hungary. I'm not sure if it's the same in every country. This magazine is...
the magazine, okay.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yep. Sure. So, they have this label, and it's the biggest rock and metal label in Hungary. And they offered a deal to bring out the album and see what's coming then after it. And that happened, went pretty well. Then we went on tour in the country, supporting some bigger bands, some smaller bands, being on Siget Festival and all the fun stuff you can do. So it was an incredible time. It was like 4 or 5 years of ever-growing success, and we thought, oh my God, this is actually happening. This will be it. You will make it and actually make a living out of it. And then I moved just for half a year to Spain to play in a show band, because music and all is fun, but you don't earn anything at this point with it. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm teaching some kids guitar and everything. That's very nice, but it was not really working out that well. And I was like, I need some inspiration, need some change. So I moved to Spain for half a year with a show band, and played some funk and sort of 70s disco funk and that kind of stuff. Just to try it out, just to see how it is. And it was incredible. And I loved it. But then I, of course, planned on moving back and keep on playing with the band. And then on the way back home, I flew back from Spain. And on the plane, I met my now wife. Who was German. He was German. So that sort of mixed things up a little. And then, of course, I moved back. But then we had this distance relation going on for 1.5 years. And then all of a sudden, there's the point where you really want to figure out, like, okay, is this going to be anything, or will it, I don't know, sort of fade out or whatever? And since the band didn't really move forward that much at that point, it was a risky decision. It could have been that they take off after I leave them, and I'll be the 5th member of Beatles, or the original drummer of Nirvana. He was like, oh damn, I shouldn't have left. And but love was in the air, so I told the guys, sorry, I have to try this. I have to move to Germany, and I want to give this a go. And so I left them. And then I moved to Germany, and here I had a couple of cover bands first, because I also needed money. So this is a big thing here in this region of Germany, rock and metal cover bands, like huge bands driving with trucks and having a crew and hundreds of people or even thousands of people every weekend, like twice. It's a thing. I mean, not that much anymore. It's sort of suffering, and right now, of course, no one's playing, obviously. But this was a thing, and it allowed me to sort of start a new life here in Germany without speaking one word German. And so that happened, and then that went on until I started working at Thomann. And simultaneously, I also started teaching in a music school here in Germany as soon as my German was any good. And and that went on simultaneously. And then, 2015, I started at Thomann in the guitar department, mainly in the workshop, and also a little, of course, like customer help and sales jobs as well, and mainly in the workshop. And then a year later or something, maybe 15, maybe 16, not sure, the guys asked, like the marketing guys asked, like, do you want to, I don't know, shoot a video, like something, whatever, let's put it on YouTube. It's like, okay, Thomann does YouTube, whatever. And then it started, slowly but surely,
Yeah, and 160,000 subscribers later and your own channel later, it's quite a different thing, right? And I've met you also in every different corner of the world for the NAMM Show and the Guitar Summit and shows like this. You've really got to travel and meet a lot of cool people as well, haven't you?
Yeah. Oh, crazy. Absolutely crazy. Yeah, it's unimaginable. It's, I'm speechless, really. I feel really lucky to be one of the guys who's involved in this, and especially to be one of the few guys who are there from the beginning and sort of shaped the whole channel, and had a small part of the decisions from the beginning, and then it sort of became like an actual team of a couple of people. Then the team grew a little, of course, as all the work involved also grew, obviously, and the projects and everything. Yeah, it's madness.
Yeah, it went from pretty much, from what I remember, it was pretty much you doing the videos, and now, of course, you have Guillaume, who is your partner in crime for all the guitar videos, but there's presenters for all sorts of different aspects of Thomann, the different departments.
And more channels even, yeah. Now it's not only the guitar and bass, there's the music channel, which is more like really about music, honestly. And then the drum channel, the drum bash, the synth channel with Jason and all the guys. It's it was something they wanted to try, and it seems to work. So it's very inspiring, yeah. And it was really funny, as you told. It was literally Phil shooting and editing, and me in front of the camera. That was the YouTube department until a few years ago, and now it's a couple of people because, of course, we have way more output. We have a bass host. We have all the editors who need to sort of take care of that. And now I also edit my own stuff for this series I'm doing, this Guitar Tech Tips, which is literally my baby. It's like I do the scripts. I am in front of the camera, of course. I edit the videos. I do the Photoshop thing for the thumbnail picture and everything. It's like, that alone is a lot of work, of course. And that's just a part of the whole picture, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of this Thomann stuff, it's almost happened by beautiful chance, right? A lot of almost crazy coincidences. Actually, how you came to Germany, how you ended up at Thomann, how you ended up on the channel, and how it ended up being so big in a way. Although, of course, talent and being part of Thomann played a big part in it. Yeah. What has been kind of one or maybe two crazy experiences for you along the way where you thought, oh, this is actually mad what I'm doing now?
The first one was pretty early on. The channel wasn't any big. We had the Thomann channel. Cannot even remember, maybe 30,000 subscribers, maybe not even. And we had John Petrucci there in the studio. And Dream Theater and John is my biggest hero of all times. Yeah. I don't listen to Dream Theater that much anymore because you get older, your taste changes, things that inspire you change. But still, I will listen to all their awesome albums every now and then in the car when I'm in the mood. But the biggest inspiration for me is hands down John. And then the option came, the chance came to have him in the studio and have like a proper long interview. And I was shaking. I was crying inside. I cannot take all this pressure. What should I ask? Oh my God. Yeah. And that was fantastic because he was such a sweetheart. He was funny, a little nastier off camera, and super polite, but still very friendly. The same guy, just in a little more polite way in front of the camera. He made my job so much easier, and it was so enjoyable because he's also the kind of nerd we are. He loves playing the guitar. He loves guitar sounds. He will tweak his own stuff every day just to make sure he's really, happy with it and inspired by it. And that's exactly who we also are. So it's not a hard thing to have a good chat with him, actually. Yeah. You just have to be the kind of person that sort of connects and has this thing going on. And luckily, he appreciated this fact that I'm not just a dude asking like, oh, okay, and how's the new album? Mm-hmm. And how do you... It's like, oh, cool. And so such a sweet Mesa. And what does this knob do? And he was like, oh yeah, well, So it was. He
appreciated the chance to nerd out with a proper guitar expert.
A fellow guitar geek, yeah, of course, absolutely. And what was mind blowing is that we had the head and his cab prepared before he arrived. Obviously, we had some sort of a sound check beforehand, and I just set up his signature Mesa the way I would set it up. I also own a Mesa. I love these amps. I know them relatively good, and I just set them up like a basic setting on the amp. And he came in, plugged his guitar in, and was like, "Wow, who set this up? Matty, was it you?" His guitar tech. And he was like, no, Kris just had everything set up this way. And he's like, okay, can I take a picture of the settings? And I was like, yeah, you can, of course. I want to try it out tonight and it's sound check. It's like, do it. It was mind-blowing. And this was the biggest moment for me personally. And of course, like Richard Fortes, who's such an inspiring and awesome player, plays in Guns N' Roses. Yeah. We had the chance a couple of years ago to shoot a live rig showdown video with him, which was a little too stressy. Otherwise, it would have been such an equally insane moment. We just didn't have any time. They had delays, then whatever. Then all of a sudden it was like, okay, now you have 5 minutes. Go, on stage. Like, so it was, the production was delayed, and it was, not enough time for actual good vibes, which was a little sad. But that was an insane moment, watching soundcheck with Angus Young was there, by the way. He did a song with them, and it was like, they're doing soundcheck. Who's that guy? That looks like Angus. Oh my God, that is Angus.
Yeah, who's that little guy in a school uniform doing the duck walk? Wait a second.
No, he was just wearing jeans and whatever, and like a little dude playing an SG, and it's like, that has to be Angus. Oh my God. Yeah, so that was a crazy experience as well. And so many moments. Phil X. I probably forgot 80% of all the incredible interviews and people I've met and all the moments we had.
Yeah, well, you basically get them all at Thomann. That's the thing. Just about the Petrucci interview, that's the one that I remember, and that's the reason that I said at the start of this video, interviewer to the stars, because that's the one video where I think, this is Kris sitting down with a genuine sort of guitar god for the modern day, pretty much. Yeah. And I have to say, I'm sure you were nervous and stuff, but you can't tell that from watching the video. At least I know you pretty well now, and I couldn't tell that you were that nervous. Wow. Okay. So you did an exceptional job there. So well done.
Thank you. Well, the second interview we did in this year, February, I think, March maybe, right before this madness started, a live rig video with both Johns, John Myung as well, and Petrucci here in Germany, and that was like such a good experience to see John, and he's like, "Oh, hi Kris, how are you doing? So long time no see." It's like, he just actually said that. Yeah, it was great. And then you're not that nervous anymore. Okay. Of course, I forgot. You just mentioned guitar gods. Steve Vai. I got to have like a few minutes with Steve Vai this year, which
the NAMM
was
Show.
Yes, that was equally nerve-wracking for sure. But he was absolutely chilled and made me calm down within 1 minute, literally 1 minute. I came in the room, my heart sort of exploded, and then sat down, said hello. We told, okay, cool, let's roll, and incredible. So meeting people like this is undescribable, really.
Yeah. So as well as artists, in the last couple of years, you've also done a lot with fellow YouTube personalities and people from brands, and Thomann has had the TGU event. Tell me about those experiences for you.
It was, as usual, madness. Way too hectic, way too much going on in just a few days. But great vibes. That's, I think, what impressed me most is how friendly everyone is to each other. And one would think like, oh, these are competitors, like, this YouTuber and that YouTuber, and they're checking each other's subscriber lists and whatever. Oh my God, who is ahead? And yeah, probably because it's part of the business. But it's like great hangs, good talks, off camera even more, but even on camera, of course. It's just such chilled and friendly vibes. I mean, you've been there. You know how special it feels. I don't know. It's not like, oh my God, all these famous people around. It's like, no, just very friendly musicians around, and just having a chat and random short talk, small talks, whatever with a T. It's like, who was this actually? Oh, it was her. Okay, good to know. It's like, it's so chilled and so nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Made quite a few friends on these events for sure.
Yeah, me too. I think the YouTubers are quite a different kind of person to a lot of the actual, artists in bands. A lot of the YouTubers are actually quite shy people, maybe a little bit introverted, and they spend a lot of their time on their own, like they're talking into a camera, just like we're doing now pretty much. So meeting other people is a big thing for them too.
Of course.
Yeah.
It was a special experience for everyone. Doesn't matter how big the channel is. I mean, you meet Paul Davids, and he's like, oh, hi, wow, okay, cool. And he's like, I don't know how many millions of subscribers he has. And it's like just a friendly dude being honestly interested in whatever is going on and whatever you're chatting about. It's a very nice sort of an eye-opener to see that these guys and girls are just really nice people, actually.
Yeah. What about your own YouTube channel? Because you started that, well, you have videos which are like 11 or 12 years old, but I think you started taking it more seriously like a couple of years ago, and it's kind of, it's boomed, it's exploded.
Thank you. It's very nice to hear from you. Yeah, I had a few videos, really, like 2 or 3 videos that I uploaded 2008 or 9, and then one a year later, like 1 video per year. Basically, very productive, just for fun. Honestly, I recorded them with my camera's mic and camera. My laptop's camera. It's like 0 quality. At least the audio was recorded through an interface and everything, of course. But what's funny about it is that because there were no competitors back then, those videos have like almost 600,000 views and stuff. So it's like massive view numbers, but only because there was no proper videos existing at the time. So yeah, I actually started last year to take this seriously and upload videos on a regular basis. So it was last year in April. And I started off with what I had from back in the days, subscriber-wise, which was like 1,500 maybe. Yeah, so that was my current state at that point, and then I started uploading videos weekly. Yeah, and there are some videos which perform very, very well, and there are some which are not that interesting for people, but it's also a learning curve for me, and it's a very interesting experiment. I love trying out stuff and seeing how people react, and if they even care or not. I'm not so possessed by my person, so I'm more focusing on things, I want to say, and not on me, look at me. Yeah. I don't think I'm that interesting to anyone, but what I think is interesting is what I've learned over the years, or the sounds I just figured out and I love them, so I want to share with people. So that's how my focus was from the beginning, basically, and is still, and I don't think that will ever change. Luckily, and as you told, it grew pretty fast, which I still cannot understand why, but I feel really lucky, and I cherish the moment 100% because I respect and appreciate people's attention a lot. I try to do the best I can and try to combine some entertainment, even though I'm not that entertaining and funny, but sort of interesting way of talking about useful stuff, if you know what I mean. There's a difference. I don't want to make everyone fall asleep while watching my videos, but I also want them to have the feeling when the video's over, like, okay, that made sense. He didn't just waste 9 minutes of my life, because I sort of have that feeling sometimes, not in the guitar YouTube world, but on YouTube you'll find enough videos which take 3 or 4 minutes to realize that you're watching a piece of nothing, and it's just no one will give you that 3 or 4 minutes, Pegs. Like, why are you doing this to me? I don't want to be one of those. Yeah,
absolutely. So and I get the feeling from your videos I always learn at least one thing. You know, you're always giving like snippets of information, things that you've learned, or for example, we're recording this on what's the date? Let's have a quick look. The 4th of December 2020, and your newest video is one that came out last night, which I watched, where you go through, is it 7 or 8 of the most popular guitar models, giving your opinion on why they might work for you, giving some sound examples. That's useful information right there.
Yeah, I hope. It was my idea. Sorry, excuse me. My idea with this video from yesterday was to maybe raise a little awareness of ignoring specs for a sec and concentrating on guitar types. Like if there's a Gretsch, yes, of course it's important to know, is it like a full hollow, is it a semi-hollow, how much output do the pickups have and everything, and okay, so that's a big speed. It's like, yeah, of course, these are important details, but what really matters is how a guitar like this will feel, will make you feel, and will make you play. And I try to focus with my 1 or 2 sentences per guitar on this, to try to explain to someone who maybe didn't play a guitar like that how it feels to play one, how it makes you feel if you grab one, and explain the experience of playing one of these guitars. And it's not very deep, but I think it's a nice overview because of having a Jazzmaster, a Tele, a Strat, a Les Paul, whatever, a hollow body, an Explorer, all kinds of guitars in the video. You can hear their sounds, their characters, and you can sort of decide what makes them different.
Yeah, I actually really like that approach, because you played some things which are maybe not totally kind of cliched for a certain instrument, because I think with a lot of guitars we automatically tag them to certain genres. Les Pauls, they pretty much do everything, but a Telecaster is, that's a country or a country rock guitar. An Explorer is a metal guitar, but you turned the Explorer straight onto the neck pickup and did some almost sort of bluesy rocky sort of stuff. So I like that, and that's something that people would learn which they would not necessarily learn in other videos maybe.
Oh wow! Okay, I didn't even think about that. I just I just wanted to play 1 or 2 sounds per guitar in the video. That was all I was thinking about while I was preparing for the video, to just showcase at least 2 sounds. But I didn't even pay attention to the styles I will write my little licks in. So yeah, but that's a good point. Thank you. For reminding me. Most guitars are way more versatile than people think, and for some reason people, I don't know why and where this came from, if it's the industry that pushes you in this direction, or people just figured this out themselves, that you need a million coil splits and in and out of phases and parallel series switches to make a guitar versatile. And of course these will help and will give you more options. But you can get away with a 2 humbucker or 2 single coil guitar, even with a 3-way toggle, and play pretty much awesome sounds, whichever style you're planning on playing in.
Yeah.
You have to make everything work, of course. You cannot just use the same one distortion for all the styles if you want a Tele to sound good in metal, in rock, in funk. And of course, you will need a couple of little tools or an amp that does it all. But you can make these guitars simple guitars, like an ES330 I played in the video. This was an actual point I was focusing on. Like, these guitars are so versatile. It's not just a blues guitar. It's not just that thing, or just an indie rock guitar like Oasis and that. It does that, of course. But you can play heavy rock on this thing, and you can play jazz. You can play funk. They will sound so good in so many styles, and that's just one guitar out of the bunch.
Yeah, sure. I guess with the semi-hollows, for example, a lot of it comes down to the looks. If you're a young metal player and you go into a shop and you want to buy a guitar, you automatically look for the pointy stuff because that's what the metal guys play.
Of course.
You would never think to pick up a 335 or a 339 or something like that, would you? But
no.
It's all about that. That leads me quite nicely to another question then. You're talking about versatility of guitars and you can do everything with one guitar. If you were forced to reduce your collection down to one guitar, one amp, and maybe a pedal or 2, what would you go for and why?
I hope you know my guitar choice.
I'm going to go with the Tele.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
all
right. It's right here. This one. Yeah.
Okay, just before we move to the amp then, I have a viewer question from a chap called Marco who has been watching a lot of my videos, and he wanted to know, he said he would be sure that you would say the Tele was the number one guitar, but he would want to know what is the number two guitar, what's the second one that you would pick? Because no one ever asks that.
Yeah, that's actually a very good question, and wow, I don't even know, man. Okay, I think it has to be my Les Paul.
Okay.
And I would miss my Strat and feel so bad about not choosing it. But I can get away with my Tele because of its pickups and the sound of that guitar, and sort of have a Stratty experience if I need that. But that warmth and that roundness and spankiness from my Les Paul, that's only in that guitar. And for some reason, you can see this on my channel if you just randomly click a few videos through, and also on stage if I'm playing with my band. These are the two guitars I orientate towards. It's like the first guitars I grab without even thinking of the set list, like, okay, we'll play something more poppy, or is it gonna be all in full rock? And it's like, I don't even have to think about that. I can grab one of these two guitars and I know they will both work for drop tuned whatever, and clean funk stuff and whatever I want, pop rock. They will sound so good that I will not miss another guitar at that moment. And with my Strat, because of the slightly scooped sound, which is so pretty when you're playing in a quieter band or at home or whatever, or you're recording, it's an awesome sound. But on stage, having a loud drummer and a proper big stage, I sometimes struggle with this this scoopiness, because I don't always feel like my sound is straightforward enough. Sometimes I even get lost in the mix, which is even worse. But sometimes I just feel like it sounds nice, but it sounds so small. And you never have this with a Tele because of that mid-range that it has. And you most certainly don't have this with humbucker guitars. And out of all the humbucker guitars, I enjoy the sound of my my Les Paul most, so that would be my second choice. Yeah.
Just out of interest, what pickups are in that Les Paul right now?
I changed, so it's a 58 reissue. I changed the original pickups because they were a little too hot and too pokey, like too presency for my taste. And I put in a Joe Bonamassa signature limited Seymour Duncan Antiquity in the bridge position. Which was not my plan. I'm a big fan of Joe's, but I'm not the signature stuff user kind of person that much. I just bought that pair of pickups because Thomann had a couple of them left, and those were really expensive pickups. But these are ones that become collectible after a time. So I was like, I can sort of afford it now, so I just buy them, put it in a little, drawer or something. But of course, I'm a guitar player, so I had to try them out. And I put the bridge pickup in my guitar, and it was like, okay, damn, it's so good. It sounds like a P90. It has that airiness and articulation, but it doesn't have the hum, blah, blah, blah. It's so good. So, that's in it, and will stay in it. That's the, that's the one, the Zebra, And this one is a raw vintage neck humbucker, PAF reissue humbucker. Raw vintage, in case you're not familiar with the brand, it's exotic guitars and pedals. That's the same brand. So raw vintage is their hardware and pickup department or whatever company, whatever it is. So and it's fantastic. I just tried that pickup out, and it has that clarity that I always miss on double humbucker guitars, especially in the neck position. And I was like, okay, I'm happy. after I don't know how many pickups of soldering in and out. Yeah, and in terms of pedals, I'll just go with two because of two gain stages. I would have the King of Tone on there for sure.
Okay.
For my medium to medium high gain sounds. That's just my sound. I don't know what's about that pedal. I tried it. years ago, and I was like, okay, I don't care how long I have to wait. I don't care. I will wait. I just go for it because it's the sound I was searching for so many years. And for lower gain, there's actually a Hungarian amp and pedal builder, and his brand is called Honeybee Amps. And I just had this pedal here, the double treble, for lower gain stuff, and it has two sides. One is like a super clean, it's called a clean drive, it's what it does. And the other side is more of a green sounding side. this the Ray Vaughan kind of flavor with that TS pedal sound. And it's just fantastic. And these two pedals will do all the gain stages and whatever you want if you combine them in a way. And for an amp, if it has to be a short answer, then my Rev, because it's the perfect pedal amp. And it has enough power and it's pretty. So what's wrong with it? Otherwise, if it would be like a dream amp, I would definitely want one of the brown Magnetones. Those combos, I'm not sure if you're familiar with them.
Yeah.
Those are stupidly expensive, like 5K-ish, 4 or 5K. And they have just the prettiest harmonic tremolo built in, and reverb and sound overall, and tape pedals really well. Very expensive, so yeah, one day maybe, but that would be like my second amp or my dream amp.
Yeah. If you were to be offered a signature guitar or a signature amp, what would they look like?
There's no way I can answer this. There's no way I can answer this. I was thinking about this just for fun, basically. A few weeks ago, months ago maybe, and I gave up real fast because I was like, I don't know. I really honestly don't know. I'm obviously a tele guy, so it would go in that direction, but I don't know if I could or would want to change anything on my tele, to be honest. If I'd want to, I'd have modified it already.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the same answer I would give to that question. I'm also a tele guy. I have it's a Mexican standard, my main tele, with the Fender bridge pickup, and I have a creamery humbucker, a wide range humbucker in the neck, and that's all I need. I would not need a signature guitar because it's literally just a pretty much bog standard tele model that does everything I would ever want it to.
Yeah. So it's of course I could imagine some fun models, like something like I'm not sure if that's in shot. It's on the main cam, so the video you will be getting will show the guitar that I built, this Seafoam Green T-type guitar. And something like this I could imagine someone building, maybe with two P90s or two mini humbuckers, to have some sort of a really cool and funky guitar, which I could imagine as a signature. And I would definitely play that guitar as well. But in terms of my main thing, my go-to, that's just the tele. I could not imagine anything being different. So, And with amps, I could imagine like Rev building this amp without the drive channel to make it a little more affordable and simple without the MIDI switching, which I don't use. So I would have this clean channel with this power amp and everything without all the stuff I don't use in the amp. So that could be a really interesting sort of signature amp imagination. And I think people would love it because if it would be more affordable, more people could actually acquire it. And it's just honestly, I couldn't imagine a better pedal platform amp. Whatever drive you put in front of it, it just sounds as good as it can sound. And that's the reason why I stick to the amp. I could, of course, go back and forth and grab something else, sell it, buy something. I don't feel like really, swapping back and forth.
Yeah,
it's a lucky situation, I think, if one can say like I'm totally happy and I'm inspired even after many years of owning something, and I don't feel like I'm bored of it, and I also don't feel like I need to change. I need something else. This madness which I had for many years.
You're a lucky man, I would say. For
in this
me
term,
and
yeah.
a lot of people watching this, it's a constant cycle of gear.
Yeah,
and if I was in your head right now, I'd be saying, oh, what about the D20? I could try that because that's supposedly a more affordable clean channel, but it's not quite the same, is it, somehow?
It's very similar. It is like pretty much the scaled down version of my amp. So you're absolutely right. And I love that amp. I played that amp most of the time in the Thomann studio because we didn't want to choose something stupidly expensive, but we wanted to have a very good pedal platform amp because we use pedals all the time and we want to sound as good as we can. So that's why that's one of the amps that's always in the studio. And I love it, but I still prefer mine. I think it's the bigger power section that just has a different voicing. Mine has even more mid-range. And I love mid-range, especially because I play a lot of single coil guitars. So it's just the perfect amp for me,
Okay, so I can't not ask you about Harley Benton then. That's the big brand of Thomann guitars, of course, and that is a hugely popular brand that you see with YouTubers and among YouTube. Tell me in 1 minute what your opinion of that brand is.
Wow.
Your unbiased opinion.
Yeah, that's going to be really hard because I'm not involved with the brand, but of course I work for Thomann. So I cannot be completely unbiased. I just have the brand around every now and then, almost every day. I think it's great to have a brand that's affordable and offers so many different guitars that people can try out so many different guitars without spending thousands of euros per guitar. You know what I mean? Like if you want an offset, well, go ahead. If you want this and that, and guitars that inspire you and look similar, maybe a little more funky, but similar enough to sort of draw your attention. It's great to have a brand that offers so many different models for so many people for not a lot of money. I'm spoiled and really, really picky. So I'm more into little fine details, and so that's why I prefer way more expensive gear. But if I'm honest, we just shot a really interesting video yesterday at Thomann, and I think it will sound ridiculously good. And I will not tell all about it, but it has a lot to do with the brand. And we don't do this a lot because we don't want to push Harley Benton on the Thomann channel that much because we want to keep the balance. Harley Benton has their own YouTube channel. We don't, Thomann is Thomann, Harley Benton is Harley Benton. That's nicer to keep it a little more separated than making everyone think that it's the same thing, because it's sort of is, but it also isn't. And so I think it's awesome to have this there. And for the money, the quality is really good. I cannot even think of other affordable brands that will give you that good of a percentage of returns and everything. It's really good. Of course, not perfect, but because if a guitar, like every single guitar coming out is perfect, you would have to put a 0 at the end of the price tag. This is how it is. It's sad and whatever, but this is just how things work. If you make sure that every piece is perfect, you have to invest in every piece of object you sell way more, and you have to ask for way more money, and people would not love that anymore if it cost as much as, I don't know, Schecter guitars or like €1,000. Could be the case easily, but people would say like, what? No, too expensive. Yeah, so there's always this sort of a balance thing. But in terms of in the music school, I was teaching all these starter guitars of brands you sort of heard about, but like not actual big brands like Harley Benton is right now. Holy moly. So bad guitars. Like you don't even have the chance to set them up to play any good. And then you have your kids there trying to learn some chords and some AC/DC licks, and it's unplayable. It's so sad. So I was accustomed to this kind of quality for 100 or 200 euros. And then if you compare that to Harley Benton's range of guitars, there's a huge difference. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bought this guitar for myself. And I don't need it a lot, to be honest. And I just wanted to have it because I found it very good. This was the guitar at TGU. maybe you remember. And after TGU, we had to sort out everything and sort of tidy up everything. And then this guitar was in the guitar department. And it's like, oh, wait a second, I've seen that guitar. And grabbed it and was like, okay.
It's happening again.
I need an invoice. Yeah, it's like I really didn't want it, but it was just so good and didn't have a super strat kind of guitar. So I was like, damn. I could spend way more money on a guitar like this, and it is what I want, so I just go for it. Yeah, so yeah, that's my round and, uncensored opinion.
Yeah, well, that's I agree with what you've said, really, and I see Harley Benton also as an inspirational brand in a way, because I think beginners guitars, or your first step into a certain type of guitar, if it doesn't inspire you to play, or if you buy a cheap instrument that you can't play because the setup is so bad, you're going to stop playing guitar. And if you have something like the one that you saw and it inspires you to pick it up and just keep riffing away, then that's great.
Yeah.
And I have I've got a couple of Harley Bentons, and I borrowed the SC450, the classic gold top with the P90s, from a friend of mine, Uwe. And it's just, that's a fantastic guitar. Not even for the money, it's just a really, really good guitar.
Yeah,
exactly the same as the Ferris Blue Junior style, which I bought and which you actually picked out for me.
Yeah, I've seen the video. It was a very nice video, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much.
No, really.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah. Yeah. It's just how it is. Of course, you hear sometimes people complaining about quality check and this and that. Yes, of course, there are mistakes. For sure, but that's exactly why the money back guarantee is, why the 3 years of full warranty is. If you have any issue, let Thomann know. That's one thing that Hans, the boss, is like super strict about. If a customer is not happy, try to make him happy. Do everything that's doable, and don't try to, pick like, okay, are you sure? Mm-hmm. You have to figure some stuff out if it's actually faulty. And if there's like something that's like clearly unexplainable or like a proper fault, there will no questions be asked. Like send it back, it will be repaired or swapped. That's how things work. But if every Harley Benton and every other brand, it's not just Harley Benton, by the way. If every guitar of every band would be perfect, you couldn't afford them. Not even the custom shops. Like there are also sometimes faulty guitars. It's just the nature of wood. You cannot make sure that every neck and every piece of whatever will stay as they were in the factory. They will move, they will warp, something will happen, a fret will pop out or be sharp on the edges or whatever. Things happen. And if you wanted to make sure that everything is perfect, they would cost as much as cars. It's like unimaginable.
Yeah, and you would not post them from Thomann to people's houses. People would pick them up in an airtight environment. And,
of course, yeah. And it's always, no matter how expensive the guitar was, it's always worth checking the setup. The factory setups are mostly okay, sometimes not awesome. It's just the factory setup. It's not the pro tech setup you wished, and not even on more expensive guitars. In many cases, when I pick up a guitar, just grab a guitar in the workshop or in the studio, I will tweak it a little. Just 1 minute, just the neck relief or whatever it is, the saddles, because I just want to make sure it feels right. And they're not very often in a perfect shape.
Yeah.
But that's normal. Of course, it would be ideal not to have this, but it's always the best idea to go to a guitar tech, let them check the guitar, or if you order at Thomann, ask for them to set it up. Might cost maybe 30-40 euros, but it's definitely worth having a pro setup right before they ship it. Or if you can do it yourself, and I don't know, you're watching Guitar Tech Tips on the Thomann channel, just go for it and set it up. It will make the guitar play so much better.
Yeah.
You can make a Harley play like a custom shop. You can play any affordable guitar play like a custom shop if it's done right. But you won't get it. You have to make sure that you do it, or you pay someone to do it afterwards, after you bought it.
Absolutely, yeah. So from Harley Benton then to the opposite end of the scale, what has been the one best or most inspiring piece of gear that you have ever had in your hands at Thomann, or maybe somewhere else?
It was somewhere else.
Oh.
At Thomann, there are incredible guitars all the time. big surprises, not that much of a surprise guitar. Everything's in there, you know. Master build, Strat, is gonna be ridiculous, obviously. So that's not a surprise. Then there's a brand you never heard of, and you pack the guitar out, and you're like, oh my god. So there's everything in it, pretty much on a daily basis. But the most inspiring thing was at Guitar Point, a vintage guitar store here in Germany. We paid them a visit 1 or 2 years ago. I think it was 1 year ago. And I got to play a 59 Les Paul, a 60s Les Paul, a Burst, 50s Tallies and Strats, and 60s, 64 Strats, and whatever, and an ES3, oh my god, what was it? 330, it wasn't a 330. It was a 330 actually, with the P90s, yes. Those guitars, especially the 330. It was like a reddish one. It's in one of my videos. That guitar blew my mind. And of course, the 59 Les Paul. That was such a holy moment. Something you never think you'll ever do. And yeah, there it was. A fantastic guitar, of course. Let's not talk about the price tag. Of course, it's a collectible piece, so that's why it's that expensive. But it would definitely be worth 50,000 easily, because it's that special.
Yeah, absolutely.
For a player, I don't mean for the collector, because the collector will pay the $500,000 because it's what it's worth now. But just as a guitar, unimaginable. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been to Guitar Point as well. We took a few YouTubers there, and I think it was only Joss Allen played the 59. So everybody else was kind of like, you know what, I'm not gonna touch it in case I drop it, because then I got an expensive bill on the way out. But it was an incredible experience, and I think Joss said the guitar itself was not physically the best he'd ever played, but it's just that kind of, when you have a 59 Les Paul in your hands, it's that feeling that you've got something incredibly special here, a piece of guitar history, a very expensive piece of guitar history right there.
Yeah, of course. And that's interesting, because Joss is such a different player. He can do everything, you know, clean blues, and he will rip it in a way, you know, everyone wish they could. But he's more the chuggy guy, the modern guy, and a 59 Les Paul is not going to be the best for that. So, of course, it feels weird, and still he felt that something, that mojo. And that's something that you cannot ignore. And if you're a guitar player, you will involve your emotions in everything you do with guitars, and that's good. You should, because as soon as you turn that off and you see everything as a scientist, you will be a really bad musician probably, because there's no more emotions involved, no more creativity, no more excitement involved, just facts and yeses and nos. That's not gonna do any good to you. So I cherish this, that we have emotional connection to pieces of wood and metal and solder joints and stupid things like that. It's beautiful. It's awesome. Yeah.
It's all part of what we do, and that's why we do it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, Kris, I've taken up way too much of your time already, and I know that you have to get back to work. I would have loads more questions. Maybe one day next year we do another chat or something. But let me finish just with one final question then. I imagine your band from Hungary, they never quite made it. You never made it to be a rock star in your own right in that sense. You've become a rock star in a different way now. But if you were able to join any band active right now, or if you were able to put together your own band to go out and tour the world in 2021 when the gig venues are open again, you'd be playing guitar, I'm sure. You would not be singing, I imagine, based on what you told me. But who else would be in the band, and what sort of stuff would you play?
Whoa, my God. Okay, let's start with joining a band. I would definitely want to play at least a couple of shows with my favorite band in the world, which is the Brothers Landreth from Canada. Joy Landreth and his brother Dave, and just the whole band is... I cannot even explain what it does to me when I'm listening to that music. And I had the chance to watch them last year in Munich, and it was the best live performance and experience I've ever had. And all my two buddies who came with me said the same thing. They were basically destroyed after they sat down on the ground with a face like this, and they were like done for that day. It was so beautiful, so charged. It was a little club. The whole club was like full with electricity. It was incredible. So that would be the biggest honor to have at least a jam with Joy and the guys. Own band. Oh my God, I would. I could not decide on a style, honestly. I think most of the sort of song snippets I write for my channel is something one should expect from me in terms of style and songs and the quality or the type of what I would record. It would definitely have some funk, like in terms of Red Hot Chili Peppers and Rage Against the Machine, that kind of funk rock.
Okay.
Chuggy neck pickup telly kind of stuff in it, quite a bit actually. It would definitely have some blues rock in it. It would definitely have some jumpy drop tuney kind of thing. And I couldn't even imagine how to combine these things, because these are the three main things I cannot get enough of. Like some really nice and thick, rich, low-tuned guitar sounds, but also some very subtle, soul-y kind of stuff, and then some Rage Against the Machine mixed with John Frusciante kind of sweet Hendrixy vibey stuff. It's like, I have no idea what I would do. I think I'd have to turn off my brain, maybe drink half a bottle of whiskey or something to turn off everything that's conscious and just let it flow out. I don't know, because I couldn't possibly decide on a style for this band, for this project. It's I just have to go with the flow. And I know so many great musicians. I know at least 3 ridiculously good bass players I would have around me, and then Nathan Navarro, who's an incredible bass player, unfortunately on the other side of this continent, of this planet, I mean in America of course, and so many great musicians. Then drummers, the same. It's like I know at least 3 who I would love to work with, and I would probably even have to split up everything to let him play a few songs, her play a few songs, and the same for everything else, even though I think I would be happy with a power trio. Bass, drums, and guitar. I could even imagine to sing just to keep it a trio. But if it's real bad, I would hope for a bass player who sings, or a singer, like a 4th person, but that would be it. Yeah.
Sure. Well, who knows? Maybe next year that's something you can try on your next channel, something like that. I'd certainly watch a video of you just drinking half a bottle of whiskey and then letting it all loose and playing your own thing. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun, but not a good idea to copy. It's like, no, here's my advice for you kids: drink half a bottle of whiskey. No, don't do it. Don't do it.
No, be like Kris and drink English tea, kids.
Yes,
it's the best. It makes you clever and strong and healthy, and it's great.
And keeps
none
you
of
awake.
Those things are probably true, but there you go. Okay, cheers for the time, Kris. I've had a really good time talking to you.
Me too, Rich.
Loads
Thank
of questions. Everybody, I've put a bunch of links down below so you can check Kris out on his own channel. You can check out the Thomann channel as well. I'll link to a few of the products that we talked about maybe, so go there. Go to Kris's channel to learn a lot more stuff from him. Enjoy his music, his playing, his information, and learn things from him as I do. But that's it for today. I've been Rich for Rich Words Music, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.
Bye guys.